It is garden tour time. Probably my favorite time of the season because I get to walk you around the garden and show you how it's progressing. I get to show you what it's doing, good and bad, after all my hard work of planning it out, growing the seedlings, and planting out the whole garden. I'm Sherry. This is Gardening in the North, and I am a Canadian gardener living in Ontario, Canada, growing zone 5B. One of the things that I want to share with you before we head up to the garden is the progress on these green stalk vertical towers. So this is my first time growing in these, and I have to say they are probably my favorite of the garden this year. And the reason I say that is because of the easiness that they provide. And the location obviously helps. I have them right by my steps leading into my sunroom, which then leads into the kitchen. And so nightly I'm coming out here. I don't even need to put my shoes on, and I'm harvesting tons of beautiful things for our salads. And I just love doing that. So in this tower behind me, I have the strawberries and the sugar snap peas. And the sugar snap peas are starting to flower. And once they flower, you know sugar snap peas are soon to arrive. I thought I would bring you in a little closer just to show you how well everything is doing. So if you have a chance to get your hands on one of these green stalk vertical towers, you should definitely grab at it if you can. I also wanted to show you, oh, I see that there is a strawberry in there that's probably going to be ready in a couple days. And I just wanted to show you, if you'll remember back to when I planted them, I planted some really sad looking parsley. Look at that parsley now. So amazing. And then if I just span over to the other one, there are flowers on the sugar snap peas, and it's covered in strawberries that just need to ripen up. These two beds may be my favorite two beds, and I think that because I had a vision for them. I wanted to have the perennial Egyptian walking onions growing in the majority of the bed, and then to have the sugar snap peas growing in the middle, using this headboard as their trellis. And they're doing it. It's amazing. I'm not sure that this video is going to portray how beautiful it is. I do want to show you that a lot of these Egyptian walking onions are starting to create their little bulb sets, which means that I'm going to be able to take them and plant them in other areas of our property. And so one of the things that I want to show you here is we already have a purple sugar snap pea. So in the bed next to it, I originally had planted my garlic, and most of you know that it did not take. The garlic was 2 years old. I knew that it probably wouldn't take. I think I ended up with 6 garlics that took. And so in this bed, I did the same kind of idea. I have a footboard in the middle, and I have the sugar snap peas kind of going a little crazy here, but I'm here for it and I love it. And so one of the things that I did differently with this bed is that I planted a squash at the end. I did plant a cucumber, but it didn't make it. The Japanese beetles got to it, and I'll have to plant it again. So I also planted some beets here. Unfortunately, I didn't think it quite through when I planted them because this wall of sugar snap peas is keeping them from getting full sun. They will get sun, but it won't be until this afternoon. So you'll see right here that I've also planted some mojito mint. I've decided that this bed here is going to be strictly for mint. Now I know it's not going to happen this year, but next year I would love for this bed to be covered in mint. Now I'm just going to show you through the bed frame here. This mint that I have on the other side of the bed frame is, or the headboard, is spearmint. And so my thoughts are, how beautiful would this be to have this bed completely filled with spearmint and mojito mint? I mean, who doesn't love having spearmint in their teas in the winter and mojito mint in your mojitos in the summer? This here is our sweet cherry tree. Now, it doesn't have any buds on it. It's not producing anything except a lot of leaves, and it's looking really healthy. But what I want to show you is inside the tree, which I thought was really cool. Let's see if you can see it. I'm going to pull the leaf. There are 3 little eggs in it. Okay, I better get away from it before Mama Bird gets back. This bed here was a last minute decision. I realized late in the planting out gardening season that I really didn't have any space for rosemary. Not only did I not have space for rosemary, but the rosemary that I planted in the plant room did not survive. It was really hard to grow. And one day I was at Home Depot and I saw these giant rosemary plants and decided that I needed a separate space for rosemary. So here in, oh, thank you for the guesses. Thank you. Such a nice guy. Yes, you want to be in the video, right? Yeah, that's a nice guy. So here in Growing Zone 5B, rosemary is not a perennial. It is a perennial in Growing Zone 6. So what my plan is that once the growing season is done and I've harvested what I need from this bed, I am going to try to save the, okay, Bubba's. I'm gonna try to save this rosemary by wrapping the bed and covering the bed in, I'm thinking, some kind of burlap. I don't know if it'll work or not. I'm hoping that it might. I'm just thinking that if I protect the plants over the winter season, I might get some growth next year. So it's gonna be a cool experiment to try. The idea here is to have my vining nasturtium climb up this old wooden ladder. I thought that that would be a really unique and cool exhibit of color. And if I just get in real close to show you the beautiful orange of these nasturtium flowers. Now remember that you can take the flowers and put them in your salads to add extra color. One of the things that I'm struggling with this year are these little beetles, and I'm hoping that you can see them. I know the flowers are shaking. They are everywhere. They're on all of my squash plants, cucumber plants, and they are destroying the plants. I'm not really sure what to do. I've tried coming out here at night, picking them off by hand. I've hung these yellow sticky tape traps in the hopes that when I shake the plants, they fly up and get stuck to it. I have to be really careful what I use because I have 3 beehives close by and I really don't want to harm any of our honeybees. Hi girl, hi girl, this nice girl, yeah. So this idea here was similar to the nasturtiums, I really wanted the butterfly pea vines to grow up and twine all around this wooden ladder. I thought that the 2 ladders from the house with these different kinds of flowers and vines on it would be beautiful. So the nasturtiums are that really deep orange and yellow, and the butterfly pea are purple. It's been a bit of a flop. So I grew roughly, Lily, get going. So I grew roughly 40 plants in my plant room this winter, and they seem to grow fairly well. They seem to grow at a good speed. Brought them out here after I hardened them off and I planted them, and they are struggling, and I'm not really sure why they're struggling considering that they are a tropical flower or tropical plant. But this should really be full by now, and it's not. So if you've grown butterfly pea flowers, hi Jaxie, if you've grown this type of plant before, please leave me some comments below. Let me know what you've done to encourage growth on yours. I'm a little bit disappointed because I was really hoping that I was going to be able to harvest all these beautiful purple flowers that I could then dry and make tea with. So the butterfly pea flowers are really known to be a cosmetic flower. And when you make tea with them, 1, it's a beautiful purple color, and 2, it's really good for your skin and your nails and your hair. And I really wanted to be able to share these flowers with my friends. So leave some notes or comments below. Let me know if you've grown this before and what I can try to encourage the growth on these vines. Here's a look at the carrot bed. So I don't know if you watched my carrot video, but I planted these carrots with 2 different ways. So the first one was I just planted the seeds in the bed, and the second one was I pre-germinated them inside and then brought them out here and planted them. Now what I can tell you by looking at the bed is that very weirdly, that the ones that I planted with the seeds, which are the ones in front closest to you, are slightly taller than the ones in the back. But what I can tell you is that when I was thinning them out, the ones that I pre-germinated were spaced better than the ones where I just sprinkled the seeds in there.
Lost again, going back around, dreaming of a time when I get.
So if I just back up a little bit, you'll see here that over here and over here, I'm growing cherry tomatoes. So over here, I have the Juliets, which are prolific growers or producers. And over here, I have the chocolate cherries, which are so tasty. And I just think that this arch trellis is going to be so amazing to walk under and harvest all the tomatoes that I'm going to get from these plants. Now, last year I planted 3 varieties and it was a bit chaotic, and I can already tell that it's probably going to be just as chaotic, but that's okay. I'm here for it. I'd rather it be chaotic than get nothing from them. So in the same bed that I'm growing the Juliet tomatoes, in the back, I have Cosmos. Now I'm going to tell you that I bought these Cosmos on a whim. I saw them at the nursery and thought, okay, like they're pretty. And I did a quick research on whether or not they were edible, because I really want to plant things that are edible as opposed to just being ornamental. If I can get edible and beauty out of it, that's what I'll do. I did not realize how big they would be. And thankfully, I put them on the east side of this bed so that they are not blind or not covering, shading out is the word I'm looking for, shading out my onions. One of the things that I'm going to do differently with my onions this year is I'm not giving them a haircut. So I noticed last year and the year before that, that when I gave them a haircut, I actually ended up with smaller onions. Now, it must have been about 4 years ago before I started giving haircuts, I got giant onions. They were beautiful. And then I started cutting them while I grew them in the plant room, and I continued giving them haircuts after planting them out here. I'm not sure why I did that. I think I was thinking that I didn't want them to put their energy into growing those green shoots, but rather the bulb. The problem with that is, what I think the problem with that is that as you cut them, you are basically telling the onion to send energy to that greenery and to produce more greenery, which then takes away from growing those bulbs. And so this year, I'm actually not going to cut them at all. And I can already tell that they're doing 100 times better than they have in the years past.
Lost again, going back around, dreaming of a time when I get things right. Lost in the shadows.
One of the things that I've done differently this year is I've planted marigolds and basil all around my tomato plants in the hopes that it will keep the pests away. All the research I've done has shown or said that pests do not like the smell of the basil or the marigolds. So fingers crossed that it works.
Lost again, going back around.
This jungle of a mess here is a combination of bell peppers, basil, marigolds, and tomato plants. And so if I take you in a little bit closer, you will see that I'm already getting peppers. And let's not pass over the straw flower that we have here. I thought this was interesting. I grew, I don't know, roughly 20 to 30 chamomile plants. And after planting them out, I actually threw the ones that I thought were dried up and dead into this area here where I've just been kind of dumping weeds and plants that I really don't want. I've emptied out containers into here. It's basically my compost area, but it's also been my dropping zone. And the chamomile plants survived, and now I have chamomile growing in my compost drop area. This bed here consists of many last minute decisions. And so I did have a plan for this bed, but as I started planting out the garden, things evolved and plans changed. So in the front here, I have shishito peppers. I think I have 9 or 10. And then right here, I have some short stuff sunflowers that I just thought would be gorgeous on the corner of this bed. I was noticing that this is not a shishito pepper. That looks more like a bell pepper. So the only thing that is in this bed that was a part of the garden plan is the roses. So I've planted a climbing rose here. It's going to have beautiful pinkish orange flowers, and I just think that growing up on the arch trellis, if I back up a little bit here, it's going to be gorgeous. You'll notice that there is a lot of lemon balm planted in this bed. Now, before anyone comes at me for planting an invasive, aggressive plant like lemon balm in my bed, I already know that the lemon balm is going to take over this bed, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with giving some of my beds to perennial plants that are going to come back next year. And the reason that I'm okay with the lemon balm is because I can use the lemon balm all year long. I can harvest it and dry it. I can harvest it and give it to the chickens. It has a really calming effect on the chickens. So if I'm going to be adding new chickens to the flock, I might come out here and harvest some of this lemon balm to then give to them. Now in the back, you'll see that I've planted some zinnias, and they are just gorgeous. I just think that having that small little wall behind the lemon balm adds to this bed. Now you'll also notice that I have 2 tomato plants on either side of the rose bush that I've planted. The reason that I've done that is I don't foresee this rose bush really growing and filling up the arch trellis. So I've planted these tomato plants there in the hopes that they will fill it up and make it look beautiful for this growing season. Before I end the video for today, I wanted to end on a beautiful, calming, chamomile filled raised bed. So this bed here, I have given up to chamomile. Now, last year I planted 2 small little chamomile plants in the corners of this bed, and they probably produced, I don't know, 20 little flowers. They were tiny. It was nothing to be proud of. And I didn't think twice about those 2 plants. Came out here to plant out the garden. I saw that they were growing, not in the areas where I planted them, but other areas, and thought to myself, I'm going to plant all of my chamomile plants that I grew in my plant room here. I'm going to plant them in here, and again, I'm going to give this bed to a herb that I can use year round. So this bed here is going to be my chamomile bed. However, I did not expect it to take over the bed this year. And so you will notice here that I have also planted tomato plants. So this trellis here that you see, there should be 4 tomato plants planted on it. I can only see 2 right now because the chamomile has taken over. I was going to end the garden tour with the chamomile flowers. However, as I was walking out of the garden, I remembered that I wanted to share with you the uniqueness of these eggplant grettles. Now, I'm just going to turn this leaf here. I'm hoping that you can see it. Do you see the little thorns? These thorns are everywhere on this plant. Now, I knew that when I bought it, and that's actually what caused me to purchase this, because I've never seen anything like this in terms of an eggplant plant, and just thought that I had to have it. If you've made it this far, thank you. If there's something about your garden that you absolutely love, something that you've done for years, or maybe it's something new, leave a comment below, let us all know about it, and maybe we'll try it, or maybe we'll learn from each other. Thanks for spending time with me.